All right, we're officially live.
Oh, what's happening?
Okay. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, cool. Brian, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Everybody tuning in. Oh boy. Okay, here they come.
People, I see some hearts. I think that means we got people.
Okay,
coming through.
good.
We'll let them get cozy. I'll find a spot on the couch. You can sit with us.
How's the sound? Is the sound okay? Okay, good.
Need a fuzzy mic.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to my home and being comfortable with not being 6 feet apart. We've seen each other.
We have.
A couple of times now. We went to a protest together.
We did. Full disclosure, I had to get out on these streets.
We have to. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, I want to hear your story. I want to hear your story. First of all, navigating Hollywood. I want to hear your story being in Los Angeles, maybe specifically, because you're from Michigan.
Yep.
I know you studied some incredible topics in college, and sort of navigating what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Not only do we have a world pandemic, we just had nationwide protest. They also went into other countries, as far as New Zealand. And whatever you want to talk about, we're all ears. I'm doing this because I want you guys to hear a direct perspective. Someone that is not only went through so much, but is this beautiful, thriving man in Hollywood. And I just want to hear your story, your journey, and just maybe anything for people to sort of have a bit more clarity about what's going on. And most importantly, just educate someone. Maybe educate someone that has never heard anything that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I definitely want to give some appreciation to you for, asking me to come over and have the conversation. It's great to connect. It's great to, be with somebody else who I feel like is, exploring how they're navigating the world and doing it in a way that's open with other people and, willing to listen, willing to learn, willing to be vulnerable. So I appreciate even just the opportunity to do that,
It's the least I could do.
Yeah.
Literally the least.
I appreciate it. Very, very, very much so. It is a really interesting time right now for so many reasons. Just navigating the pandemic and then all the isolation that sort of came with it. This for me, this time has been very reflective. It's kind of put me in a place where I really had to kind of sit down and just enjoy some of the stillness that being in my home, being alone, sort of brought up. Taking stock of who I am and what I've been able to do, what I've been able to accomplish, where I'm falling short, what things are working for me just on an individual level. And then all of a sudden my attention was pulled back out into how I'm functioning in this world on a global level as a black trans man in this world, when the world is, fighting against me on so many different levels, and fighting against people who are like me. And as an artist, I felt like I wanted to commit myself to using my voice and using my work and using my experiences to sort of help anybody else who may be going through something similar through whatever they may be going through.
Exactly.
I've gone through a lot in my life, and I was always, when I was younger, I was very religious, and I was like, why, God, am I going through this? And I always felt the answer was, I'm going through this, or I was given these things so that I could help other people.
Wow.
So, it's I know what I know, I've learned what I've learned through these experiences so that I can help somebody else who might be going through it, and I can, be, maybe an example, or my story can be an example for somebody who's feeling alone, because there's many times that I felt alone, and guys, I've worked with a lot of other people who feel alone. So,
or you can be someone's inspiration.
Yeah,
And I guarantee you are to a shitload of people. And it's people need something to look up to. People need someone to look up to. People need someone to have some faith in. You know what I mean? And you are that beacon. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I've only known you for a little under a year. We started shooting in September. And just researching what the work that you have done before Lone Star, during Lone Star, and I know that you will do moving forward. You are someone that people need to recognize and listen to, because the stuff that you are doing in not only America, but also in one of the most difficult industries in the world. It's truly fascinating. And I just want to thank you for your first of all bravery, and second of all resilience. Of like, you will not take no for an answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we need that.
Yeah.
We need that.
It's a habit my mom has grown to appreciate now that I'm older, but it was very difficult when I was younger.
Especially being an actor.
Yeah.
No parent is probably like, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's great. It was a great idea. And just be like being someone who doesn't take no for an answer. Like it's been something I think that has allowed me to move as far in the world as I have.
Yeah.
But cause some conflicts here and there. Of course. But it's
we need that little like nudge of stubbornness.
Yeah, but it was a lesson in that for me, where it's like, there's certain things that you just know.
Yeah.
Like deep within yourself. And even people who love you sometimes will work against that. Mm-hmm. And so somewhere in your life you're gonna have to figure out to listen to that inner voice, and even if people who care about you are trying to talk to you about something that they're afraid of out of love, that's not your fear, and you don't have to internalize that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to let that stop you from being what you want to be, or doing something that you've never done, or trying something, or going somewhere. There's been a lot of times in my life where people who have cared about me, were afraid on my behalf, and would have stood in the way of something that I was feeling led to do, because they were afraid of what might happen. And I get it. Like in this world, black trans people are, attacked all the time. We just had 2 trans women were like brutally murdered, just for being who they are. So like, parents, loved ones, they want to protect you from that. But if I didn't, then this light or this beacon that you talk about me having, like, it wouldn't reach anymore.
Yeah.
And we would lose more people. So it's like, I kind of have to do this thing, because I feel it like call from a very like deep place. And I feel like that commitment that I've had to do what feels so right inside of me has gotten me to do some amazing things I've really enjoyed, things that really taught me a lot, and brought really amazing people into my life to sort of support me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I guess you asked me my story. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. My family is from Tuscaloosa, Alabama originally. And my grandparents came up here, and my mom and her sisters were all raised together. And then through the 80s, from 1982 to 1989, one of my aunts was having a job. So me and my cousins were all raised in close proximity, like siblings. So I feel like I have 7 siblings, even though we're cousins. And so I
have 1 cousin.
1 cousin? You need more cousins, bro.
I know.
I'll be your cousin. One dot me. All right.
My friends have become like.
Well, all right. Can I be a Rubinstein? I'll be a Smith Rubinstein.
Please.
All right. Let people know.
Then you'd have a really long name.
Yeah.
Brian Michael Smith.
Rubinstein.
Oh my God.
I'll be a cousin for you, right? So yeah. So me and my cousin, we were all raised kind of like siblings, and I have a really funny family, and my Aunt Cheryl was hilarious. She loved to tell stories, and no one in my family can tell a story without reenacting it.
Yeah.
Even my mom, they just do it, and they get so tickled by how you reenact something. So there'd be so many times when I was growing up, come back, hey, come in here, do the thing, tell the story. What did the man do at the store? So there was a lot of just that performative aspect, just kind of fostered in my family anyway. And we love to laugh, we love to have a good time, and so that was always sort of in my fabric. And then I watched a lot of TV growing up too, and I would always sort of reenact the things that I saw. I was very into Punky Brewster, because it was a Wild Child. I was very into the Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, so, same. Dude.
Yes.
I had all the action figures.
I had my Michelangelo. I had my little dude with the nunchuck hand. So I was very invested in play, and I was very invested in TV and movies. I just love feeling like I went somewhere.
Yes.
Exactly. It just takes me somewhere. And I would just consume it all.
Transcend into that world.
Yeah. You got the Leo post over there, but one of the things that really put me on the path of I'm going to do this was when I saw Titanic for the first time, and I remember I walked out of that theater and I felt like I went somewhere.
Yeah.
And every emotion, it took me for a ride. I saw it 3 times in a row, just back to back to back, because I'm that was amazing. And then I was I want to be able to do that.
Yes.
To provide those kinds of experiences to people. It was incredible. So that was like in high school, but I just always had this performative nature in me. Like I did what really, I mean, Titanic was like what pushed me, like movies and screen. But like I knew I loved acting when I was in 5th grade. And, like in like elementary school, they have you do some sort of performance. Like the kids like come up with some script and you get up there. So everybody gets to experience like what it's like to like be on stage. So we did our little 5th grade school play, and I remember like the day of the show, we got out there and like I'm on the stage, and this character that I made up, and everybody's responding to me, and like they're not questioning. So I said I am this person, and that is how they are treating me. I'm living this thing out, and like it felt so powerful. As somebody who has been told for like a young age, like this is who you are, this is how you have to be. On the stage, I said who I was, and I dictated it, and lived it out, and everybody responded. I was like, oh, I love this. I love it.
Yeah, I think everyone remembers their first sort of moment of like when you really felt that thing of like, oh shit, people are like paying attention. Like whatever I'm doing, whatever character, whatever performance I'm doing right now, people are A, believing it, and B, like wanting to see more. And that feeling, the first time ever, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like you're hooked. You're like, I want to do that again.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I would get tastes of it when I would do like the stuff at home with my family, but like I just remember I must have been like 9 or 10. I was just like, I said who I was, and they respected it, and there was no question, and they lived it out, and they played with me, and they did that, and I feel like that would meant a lot to me. One, as like an actor, performer, artist to be, but then also just someone who needed ownership of my own identity. I felt that power for the first time. Like I said who I am, and that's who and people respected that, and I liked that feeling. Like I felt like I would get that when I performed. And I got a chance to do more acting when I was in church. We did like a couple of church plays, and then like when I was in high school and I think late middle school, I got a chance to like write in some of the school plays. So then it was like I'm creating the story, and like bringing all my ideas together, and like everybody's playing one. So I really like that. There's something
you create an entire world.
Yeah, create an entire world, and then having people be involved in that world with me. Like even though I was raised with my cousins, like I spent a lot of time by myself, and I got to like just let my imagination go wherever I want to go. Like I love creating these worlds, but it's one thing to create a world where you're in it by yourself, but it's another thing to create a world and other people are in it with you. You take the journey and like So I think I like all the elements of acting, and I had them in me, and I knew by the time I was in high school, this is what I want to do. I just don't know how to do it.
Like there's no easy answer.
No, there's like it's like they make the movies in Hollywood. I guess you got to go to Hollywood, And I got a little more informed as I was going on. Like, and when I was in high school, I was really good at sports, and I loved football.
Oh yeah,
I loved football when I was in middle school.
I almost played football, and then acting took over.
Yeah, so I had to make the choice, man. I was like, all right. I was in middle school, and like I really wanted to play, and I had to convince my mom to let me play because I wanted to play on. There's no girls football, and and I wanted to play with my friends, and like they were playing this Pee Wee League football, and I was like, I want to do that. And like 7th grade, and she's just like, no, you can't. You can get hurt. And I'm like, no, I really want to play. Like my friends play, and like I think it took a year of me like telling her, Mom, I really want to do this, and like she's saying no, and then she feeling like I don't want to tell you no, based on your gender. And I'm like, if you give me any other reason besides my gender why I can't play, then I will leave you alone. You can't. So she's like, okay, fine. But me being who I am, we had a snow day in December of '95,
and this is Michigan.
This is Michigan.
So that's like
it's
no
snow. I mean, so it's like snow. We didn't have school. And so my mom was like, she was like, oh, it's really treacherous me trying to get to work. So just make sure you just stay inside, and don't go outside. I cook food or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. Clicked over, three-way call. I called my friend like, hey, let's hit the hills. We had this play area, and it's just like in this basin, or like these big huge hills and like this big flat area, but the hills were like very steep, and they're great for sledding. So let's get the sled. Let's do this. We had just put a bunch of bumps in the snow the other day, and it had like snowed, and then it ice rained. So it was like this nice thin layer of ice on top of stuff. Like it's gonna be great. We got this sled. Let's go. So
crazy.
I was excited, man. I was excited. So my friends come over. We get the sleds. We head out, and I'll go first one up is the first one down. Clear the first one up. I get in my little plastic sled, and I couldn't even it was so slippery that I didn't even fully sit down. And it just was like going like, oh gosh, so like get in the sled, I'm going down the hill, I'm going like, man, it felt like 50 miles an hour. And like I'm earning the sled for that bump in the snow, because I'm gonna hit that ramp, you know, and get, you know, some air, but I was going so fast that when I hit the ramp, I like flew out of the sled. I'm up in the air, I'm going down, I'm like grab the sled, I'm like get it under my butt, and I'm like about to land, I'm like, oh, you know, I think I got it. Everything was in the sled except for this leg. Oh, and I landed on it. And I don't know if that crunch sound I heard was my bones or like the ice or both, but like I mangled my leg.
Oh my God.
And this is like 95, so there's no cell phones, there's no nothing.
No.
I'm in the middle of the snow. I'm laying
how old
there.
were you?
I was 12.
Oh my
so
God.
So it's just me and like two other friends, and I'm like, oh, okay, like something's wrong. I can't move. Like it hurts so bad. And you know, my friends had to go back to the house. Of course, to like make the call. So I'm like laying there in the snow, like crying. I'm like, oh gosh. And it took forever for the ambulance to come because it's a snow, you know, the ice and they finally came. And I mean, I'll tell you, this leg was like twice the size as like this part of my leg. It was bad. And I was in the hospital for like 9 days. And like, you know, mom had just got this job, so she was worried. We didn't have insurance. She was going through it. Mom, I'm so sorry. So sorry. But it put me in the hospital, and I had to spend a lot of time like kind of by myself. I was in a wheelchair for a while, and I'm healing, and we get to the summer, and basically it's like by the time my leg is healed, I missed the football season. So I was like, and that was like I was 13, so like I just aged out, so I'm like, I can't play. But I was like, you know, that's okay, because I started high school, and I can play high school football. My mom was like, so I'm like, yeah, I was like,
that is not cool.
You're like, what are you talking about? Like, you just broke your leg. Like, you're not playing high school football. It's gonna be worse. They're bigger than you. I was like, well, you said I could play. So that was pee-wee, blah blah blah. So again, she was like, no. And she was like, well, you know what? I'm not gonna support it. But I'm not gonna stop it.
Yes.
So if that's what you want to do, you go right ahead and you find a way. And I did. You know, so like I woke up in the morning. The day of the tryouts, I took the city bus. It was the first time you like taking the city bus from 7 in the morning. I took it to the high school. Like I hadn't been to the high school yet because the football season starts before the school year. And so like I got on hopefully the right bus, and I get there. And it's like this huge parking lot and like this huge school, and like I can see like they're like so small. All these football players are over here, and like the parking lot, the stadium's right here. And like I have to like cross this whole thing. And like at first I was like, I'm going. But as I walked across that parking lot, I'm like, oh no, what if they don't let me play? What am I going to say? Like I had to think about that, you know. And I'm like, every step I'm like scared. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But I was scared, but I kept going. And as they kept going, I kept thinking of like, well, if they say this, then I'm going to say that. And if they don't do this, then I'm going to do this. And you know, and every step of the way, it's like I got there, and it's like, I mean, it looked huge to me. Of course, their pads on. There's like seniors that are playing these like varsity guys. Like I find like the coaches, and I go up to the coach. I'm like ready. I'm ready for them to like say something like, oh, you can't play or whatever. And I get up there. I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm here for the football tryouts. And the coach is just like, okay, yeah, the equipment's over there. Go check it. Get yourself a helmet and pads. Freshmen are going to be over. Blah, blah. I was like, oh
wow,
yeah,
just straight up.
Just straight up. So, and I don't know if it's like, hey, Michigan or Ann Arbor is like a liberal town, or if he's like, you can try out all you want, and football will sort you out. And I feel like that was the attitude, you know. So like, I didn't get anything from like anybody that was like, "Ooh, can't play." It was just like, "Oh, it's a, you know, this girls want to play football, okay?" You know. But it's more like, let's see, not like get the hell out of here kind of thing. So I'm very grateful about that. But it really taught me a lesson in like facing my fears, because I was scared and I was waiting for like me to not feel scared while I was like standing at the bus stop waiting across the parking lot. It was like the fear didn't go anywhere. The fear didn't go anywhere, so but I kept going.
And then you played in high school, right?
I played all 4 years.
You played all 4 years?
Yeah.
And you were a beast.
I was a beast, man. It was fun.
And you were a running back?
I was a fullback and a defensive end.
Damn.
Because I like to hit people. It's very fun. You put the pads on, and like, I mean, I learned so much about like team sports, about being like an athlete and discipline.
That's my favorite thing from sports.
Oh my gosh.
Discipline.
Oh my gosh. What really got me with discipline, I mean, football taught me a lot, and it gave me a lot. It was very much a gift in terms of like my belief in myself, and my belief in something, like follow that. But I would have to say track and field.
Oh my!
I was a thrower, and that really taught me that discipline. You know, like I was going to just do it to support my football, And the coach, there's this great man, Brian Westfield. He was the coach for the girls team at Pioneer for a long time. And he saw me in the hallway one day, and I think he knew that I played football. And he was like, "You're going to come do track in the spring?" Yeah. I was like, I was like, "You're going to come do track in the spring?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So I showed up, for like the track
It's a
thing.
great voice.
I mean, that's how he talks. He does not raise his voice, but man, he does not play around. Like he was one of the best people I've like ever known. He's a great man, and what he did with that program, like the 30 plus years that he did it, I mean, he shaped and changed so many people's lives, including my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got me that day, and I started trying all the different track things. I ran, I can sprint, I do not do distance, but I'm very strong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very explosive. And so they gave me the shot put. I tried the shot put. I'm like, okay, so that's what you're going to be doing, because everybody else was like, they're doing their thing. They're like doing like the full like spin. I take the shot put, and they're like, hold it like this, and don't throw it like this. And I take the thing, like everybody's throwing, like 13, 19 feet, and I get in, and I'm like, chuck the thing. And the coach is like, what the? Goes and measures like 25 feet, just
Holy
standing
shit.
there. Like, oh, okay, so yeah, you got a knack for this. So this is what you're gonna do. So I ended up throwing a shot put, discus, a javelin, whatever they had to throw. I was throwing that thing. And so what was interesting about that was that even though track is a team sport, throwing is an individual event.
Yes.
It's just you, the implement, and the circle.
Your mind.
And your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn how to really work with my mind. And I also had to learn that talent will only get you so far. And I leaned on my talent a lot. Like I was naturally strong and naturally gifted at, certain kinds of athletic movements and whatnot. So a lot of stuff came to me easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I wanted to get better, like, get to these championship things, you gotta work.
Oh yeah.
Because again, the talent's gonna take you so far, and like you have to learn the technique and master it. And I remember like feeling like I'm very strong, I understand the technique, and I know I have the potential to throw like 50 feet, but I'm only throwing like 40s, and like I could not figure it out. It was so frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
and like I could not figure it out. And I got to college, and I went to Kent State, and I started working with Nate Fanger as the coach there. We were like trying to do all these diagnostics to figure out what's going on with like my throws, and like because again, like I can feel it, the potential. Like I'm stronger than I was when I was in high school. I clearly know the technique, and we're working on this. And so I get there with him, and we had to undo a lot.
Mm.
And then I even had to like change my technique. So I was a glide shot putter, and I had to change my technique to a spin, and like just letting go of like my attachment to like the glide. My ideas about that was like a mental shift. And then doing all that work, all that like minute work where I just wanted him to like show me how to do it, fix it, and we go. But it's like unlearning and just learning piece by piece how to like do the throw, like turn the right foot. Like I am doing it. It's like
it's obsessing over those tiny things.
And
It's like Kobe used to practice without a ball,
mm-hmm.
and he learned that from MJ.
Yeah.
He would be like, "Why are you practicing without a ball? Were you insane?" He's like, "Because if I can't perfect the mechanism without the ball, I'm worthless with the ball."
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
the same. You have to be so specific and meticulous about the tiniest things.
And I was like, I'm reading this book with my family, going to this book club, The Gifts of Imperfection. And like one of the things that you explore is like what makes you feel worthy, where do you base your worthiness in?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized now in hindsight what I was doing is that like being extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
is where I like base my gift. And when things come naturally to me and they're easy, then I think I'm worthy. But then when I struggle with things,
Yes.
my self-esteem, my value just kind of diminishes, and like I'll tap out. So maybe I won't work as hard at something, or I'll just beat myself up mentally about it. So I was going through that, beating myself up because like, I can't do it, and like really fighting. But in the like all the while still doing that work, and then like finally, after like 2 years, like I wasn't even competing in the shot before. Like I'm not even throwing because I'm still working on it. And but after 2 years, I remember one day I was in there, we're like practicing, and I was really working on like the foot turn thing, and I get in the circle, and I decided, let me work some shot one day, and I hit the spin, and I chucked that thing, it went so far, just like that. But it was like that 2 years
of
work, of just minute work, and so I feel like that's when I learned mastery.
Yes.
And I learned how mastery, like I had like so much control over it, I could do things, I just had a very deep understanding. But that was 2 years of that, plus the years beforehand, and it took me 10 years to really master like how to like really throw, and it felt incredible and amazing. And so I had committed more to athletics because I got a scholarship and I was able to do that. And in college, I was learning a lot more about life, the world, how it's set up, and these other classes that I was taking. And I got into like a crossroads with performing because I was noticing at the school that in this musical theater-based program, I didn't know much about musical theater in general, but in this program, it was a lot of the same people who were getting the lead roles and the main roles. They all kind of looked a certain way, and they had this sort of like response to them. And I remember I was in this class my sophomore year, my acting for the camera class, and I was very excited to like bring in the scene to work on. The teacher said we could bring in our own scene. I'm like, great, this is great. And I'm bringing this scene from like Clerks. I thought it was funny and like to work on. I'm doing it, and it's like, you know,
What a choice.
I know, because it's hilarious, you know. So I got jokes. I can really do my thing. We're doing all this other stuff that I could care less about. And now I'm like, oh, I finally do what I want to do. And I bring the scene. I'm doing it, and I know you get like halfway through, and the teacher like stops me. Like, what is this? I'm like, what are the scene for? Like, what are the characters? What are the roles? Like, why would you pick this? Like, this is a scene for like two white men. You're like a black female. Like, no one's ever going to see you for this. Like, you know. And it just like,
oh boy.
oh man, it tore me up because there was two things in there. It was like, no one's ever going to see me. And like the way that you see me is not who I am. But the way that I'm seen is not who I am or who I feel I am. And that no one's ever going to see me. You know, and like that's why I was just like, it made it very difficult for me to like want to step on stage or like even think that I could perform because like, man, he's right. No one's ever going to see me because the way that I'm showing up is not anything. I didn't have any language. This is a very different time. This is like the early 2000s. And so a lot of the language and the things that we know now about like gender identity and orientation and what's the difference and the similarities in that, like, you know, even the word trans, I had no concept of that. Yeah. I just thought I was like a different person. This was a point in my life where I was like really working against myself and trying very hard to be what everybody said I was supposed to be. Like when I was a child and I was younger, I'm like, I'm a guy, I'm a boy, you just have to accept it. And it's like, well, I'm a different kind of boy, I guess. And then it's like, okay, people are responding to me saying that in a weird way, so I guess I have to accept that, you know, I'm assigned female, I guess I'll be female. And then maybe I need to try harder to come out with, you know, maybe you're struggling with this, you know, because you never really tried being a girl. I was like, no, you're right, okay. Tried everything else, let's give this a shot. And so I was kind of in that period where I was trying that, and this guy says this to me, and I was like, what am I going to do? So everything kind of came together in like this sort of like crisis of like, who am I? Like, what can I be? And then like, I remember I was watching everybody else just be engaging in the world and engaging with each other in a way that's genuine. I couldn't wait to get away from everybody so I could just take all the crap off and just be myself, because I always felt like I was dressing up in drag when I was trying to be a girl, you know? And so like couldn't wait to get to my dorm and escape, but then I'm like, I'm missing my people, and it's like, how am I supposed to live like this? Maybe when I finally get married and have kids. But it's like, no, one day my husband's gonna come home and like find me in like his underwear and like I have to explain this or whatever. And like that's not gonna solve anything. And then I like try to picture myself down the road, like at 30, like as a woman. I was like, I never thought about that. I was trying to figure out how to be a girl, and that was hard enough. And now like down the road, it's like a woman. I have no concept of that. Because the guy assigned me after that scene, after he said that to me, he picked the scene for me, assigned it to me, and it was like the character I was playing was some woman trying to seduce a man at a bar, and I had no concept of that. I was like, this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'll never be able to act, you know? Like I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to be this. And like, you know, I can't even see a future for myself. And so it was very difficult. And I never had like suicide ideation, but I was like, I really could not see a future for myself. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, you know, I'm like 19, I'm thinking like, I can't see a future for myself. You know, and then, you know, I had this moment where it's just me, I'm in my bed, I can't really reach out to my mom about this, can't reach out to my pastor about it, because everybody has their own sort of stake in their idea of who I am, and they're going to push for that. So it's like, it really is just between me and my maker, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what can I do? Is there some solution? Because I can't see, and it was just kind of like a very quiet affirmation of, yes, that's not a thing. Like, I only see this on like Jerry Springer, and it's like, you know, like this salacious looking, you know, it's like it doesn't look sustainable. And I've never seen anybody in my experience. It's usually people who are, you know, male to female, and they're struggling, and like, you know, the way that they're showing them in the TV shows and the way they're showing these talk shows, it's like there's no livelihood, and so I don't have a future like that. Like, what are you talking about? And so like, you know, that's, you have a future. You know, you can be who you are. But how? You know, so I got up, the 2000s, I went to my computer, ask Jeeves, you know, like, Jeeves, what is, how do you do this? And like started to come up, like, you know, things started to come out, like, you know, transgender, transsexual, all these words.
And you're hearing this for the first
like,
time.
Yeah, like really looking into it, you know. And I remember what really clicked for me was I came across like somebody's blog, and they were like describing the story of them when they were like a kid. And it was like for the first time I read something that actually resonated with my experience.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff that I was getting was like around sexual orientation. I mean, it's not about who I'm attracted to. I feel like this, and all the people who were gay were saying like they just knew they were attracted to the same sex, but they know who they are and they are comfortable with it. It's not the same. I'm not having the same experience with them. But I read this blog, I'm like, that's it. And I remember I came across the blog, and then the next thing I came across was a webpage for a man, Jameson Green, and he had wrote this book called Becoming a Visible Man.
Wow.
And
title.
it's a great book.
Yeah.
And so if he's a trans man, I'm reading his like the intro and like the blurb about like, you know, who he is and what's going on. Like all throughout his like bio, there's pictures of a little baby, there's pictures of him as kind of like an androgynous little kid, there's pictures of him like wearing like girl clothes, like that awkward phase, and then there's pictures of him like as a woman, and like he's kind of butch and just kind of going through it, and then there's a picture of him at like 43, and he looks like a butch woman, and then there's a picture of him after, like kind of talking about after he started his transition and whatnot, and it's just this man,
Wow.
beard, just a man. I was like, it's possible. And I'm right there. Like, I knew in my heart, yes, I have a future. I have a path. And like I knew, but it was like there was a lot of work that I was going to have to do to like accept that, to accept, you know, like that if this is okay for me in my life journey, because like am I throwing away everything that I've been given beforehand if I make this decision? Because in my mind, like if I do this, then I have to cut off everything. My family's not going to accept it, and I have to start from scratch. And you know, so it was a lot of internal work to sort of get to a place of peace about knowing that this is something that's possible. A lot of research on like how is this possible? What does this mean? How do you do it? Are there other people? How many other people?
Yeah.
And then how do you have conversations with your family about it? You know, what if my mom doesn't accept? What if God doesn't accept it? What if my pastor doesn't accept it? So just it was a lot.
And there wasn't an abundance of information.
No.
Right?
I mean, you had to scour, and it felt very secretive. It was very protected. You had to go all over the place to like pull this information together. And we're like, now we're at a time where it's just like, you can literally say, hey Siri, look this up, and like all this actually really great research will come.
Yes.
Or you go on the TV, like I noticed
YouTube.
a couple days ago.
You literally watch
YouTube is amazing, right? You have that. There was no YouTube at this time, but what was really cool, I had like Apple TV, and I'm just scrolling through, and like they had this whole section right now called Trans Lives on Screen, and it,
dude, I saw it. And our show's on it.
and they curated like all these television and film shows that are on and available right now. And then what's coming out on June 19th is this film that I was a part of called Disclosure.
So that on Netflix.
Oh my gosh, it summarizes kind of like for me like why it was so difficult for me to kind of accept that I'm different and that there are other people like me and that we can have successful lives, because all the media that I've watched up until this point that even had anything remotely like me, it wasn't positive. You know, either it was somebody pretending, a girl pretending to be a boy, and she has to reveal that she's really a girl and like get humiliated first and rejected, and then like things are okay, or it's like the Brandon Tina story where they're murdered. You know, and
it's like extremely tragic.
Right, so very tragic. So now we're at a point where there's actually all of these really great, positive, real, authentic representations of trans people all across the spectrum, all available in like one place. So like where I was at and like where we are now is just incredible. Like another reason why I feel like I have to do the work that I do and like contribute to this, because I want to be what I wish I had. You know, when I was 12 or 19. You know what I mean?
And you know, there's people out there that are in the same shoes as you are, and maybe even younger. You know, were just as confused as you were, and then they might scroll and be like, "Oh, firefighters? Wait, a transgender firefighter?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't exist."
Yeah,
it does.
It does. I've had actual transgender male firefighters reach out to me and say, "Man, that means so much to see that," you know, and because they struggle and they felt like alone. I've had people who like wanted to be firefighters, but like I never thought that I could because, and I'm watching this and now I feel like I could, you know, or just people who just like I never thought that I could act, I'll be able to do anything, or that, I'm just happy, or like I have a trans child, so this makes me feel so happy to see that you're alive and you're thriving, and you're like a happy person. Like,
yes, you're a happy
like
person.
my mom feels there are people around me, like, thank God for this, because now my mom has a positive example for this, because we were struggling so hard, for her to accept who I am, because she's afraid that, I'm not going to get killed, or like I'm not going to have a future, or no one's going to accept me or love me, and just you being you and being like visible has helped us with our relationship. So it means a lot to me to know that I have been able to contribute something like that to some people, because it meant a lot for me to have someone like Jameson Green with his book. To see that at that time, like, was so impactful for me, And so to know that I'm kind of...
Is he still around?
He's still around. We interviewed him. I do this podcast with the...
Are you serious? You got him on the podcast?
I got him on the podcast, and the interview just came out yesterday. So if you go to the Intentional Man Project, and you can look at the Intentional Man podcast, with me and Rocco Kayanis. I never say his name right, it's Greek, but Rocco's great, Rocco Catastrophe, and we got a chance to like interview him, and he's an amazing man. Like, and what's great about him is that he wrote his book, but he also helped advance the rights for trans people through like work and political action and like getting people together. So, and he's been doing this since the 80s.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
God.
So like to be able to sit down with this person, and say, you were for me, what I have become for other people, and that wouldn't be possible without you. It's like, it's incredible. But yeah, check it out, the Intentional Man Podcast. He's a great guy.
I must have been floored.
I hope so. But like what he's done for me, I'm like one of like, man, he's like a grandfather, like a godfather in the community, just because of what he's been able to do with his political action, with his organization. Like, he's organized to bring so much resources to us, like to the community, and like to educate, and like to make sure the standards of care, like in hospitals, and and like how we're treated, and like advocating for laws to protect us.
Oh
and,
yeah,
carrying so much on his back for so long. I'm happy that I can carry some of the load, for you and with you.
But think about that full circle of now he's on your podcast.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, from that like lonely dark night in my dorm room to like I'm talking to the man in person.
When you were like, literally, please give me a sign.
Something.
I need something. I need some sort of guidance. What?
It's wild, man. But it's one of those things where it's like, again, when you listen to that thing inside of you, it'll guide you to where you need to be.
It's true.
No matter how scared you are, how confused you are, how dark it is, like, just you gotta trust that thing.
It's like that really cliche thing. Listen to your gut, follow your instinct.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
If there's something really pulling you towards something, if you have, like, let's say, a calling, listen to it.
Yeah, and it'll terrify. Like, it's terrifying. Like, sometimes the voice will be telling me something to do, and like it's terrifying.
Of course.
And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, that's scary.
No one said it was gonna be comfy or easy.
No. And
usually those things are the hardest.
They are. The most valuable things have been the most challenging for me. Like,
but it's worth it at the end.
Every time.
Every single step of the way.
Every time. It's going to teach you. It's going to teach you something. It's going to bring you up. It's going to bring amazing people into your life. It's going to bring you what you want. Like Will Smith said, everything you want is like on the opposite side of fear. I don't know if he spoke to somebody else, but I know that like that's something that he said. He's somebody that I've kind of looked up to, and like wanted to work with. Like I've found that to be very true. Like in my life, that if there's something that is pulling at me from the inside, that I really want, even if it terrifies me, keep walking towards it. Yes. In some way, shape, or form. Keep looking at it, and it'll happen. Like this, being on Lone Star, like is literally a manifestation of something that I want to.
So that's the next question.
Yeah.
Because I know your story.
Yeah.
And I know like how precise you were with all the steps that, I don't know if you thought it would eventually lead to something like this, but how precise you were with the steps and what you wanted to follow. It's incredible.
It's like, I like that discipline and that focusing on the specific thing that I've learned and picked up from like track. Like I realized it translates everywhere. Like even when I was like acting, so like I realized that because of my own fears, because of me navigating my gender identity and all these old ideas that I had about how to make this thing happen for myself, I was doing a lot of acting adjacent things but I never really fully committed to doing like the actual acting because I was scared, you know. And so I finished college. I went back home to Michigan. I was teaching drama. And I was teaching media literacy to young people. It was great. I learned a lot, but I was teaching it, and I would find myself like wanting to like be in their like little movies and like wanting to make my own. I was like, I'm doing things around it. I ended up instead of doing an acting major, I switched my major to video film production because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make it so that no one's ever going to tell me what I can and cannot play in. I'm going to learn how to make it myself. I'm going to open this thing.
Exactly.
I'm going to make my own stuff. So I learned production, and when I was making money through like teaching it because there weren't many production jobs in Michigan at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so Michigan was kind of like a staging ground. So I went home to like work things out with my family and my mom, and then I'm getting these jobs there, doing like this teaching. And then I was like, if I really want to do this, I'm going to have to go to New York or LA.
Yeah. And
I've always wanted to go to LA. I always felt this pull to the West Coast, but I heard there's good training in New York. And then a friend of mine who I met while I was in Michigan moved to New York. He's like, bro, if you come out here, you got a roommate, you got a job, you got a place to stay. So I'm like, you know what, Brad, you my guy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to come out there. And I went to New York, and I'll stay in New York for like 2 to 5 years, and then I'll make my way out west. So I get to New York, and I'm like, just getting used to being in New York, like a major city. Like, it's great. I'm taking it in, but I'm also having to hustle because it is expensive to live in New York.
And it is a crazy city.
It is, man.
Anybody's never been in New York.
It's
its own world.
Yeah.
It's not a city. It's like its own planet.
It is. But I tell you what, man, I feel like everybody should live in New York for at least 2 years in their life.
Hell yeah.
Because it will sharpen you. It'll teach you things about yourself. And it'll prepare you for anything. You stick around. If you don't, like, I just feel like
that's why all the legends start in New York, and then they came to.
I get it, man. I get it. So I'm there.
So the actor studio is crazy.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm there. I'm in New York. I'm having a good old time. I'm working. I'm teaching media literacy. I'm working in a couple schools and like after school programs. Then I ended up working at the LGBTQ community center, which was like a great moment for me too because I've again like been a member of the community, but not really involved in the community. And I remember when I was a kid, having these community-based programs meant a lot to me. So I'm like, well, I want to do the same thing. So, I started working with the young people there. They had a youth program. And I did the same thing. I'm like, telling these kids, like, don't let anybody knock you off your path. You follow your dreams. This is how I talk. No, so I'm like, follow your dreams. But I'm like, I'm not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So how can I tell you to do something that I'm not really doing? And so around like 2011, 2010, I'm like, I walk past sets all the time. For some reason, while I'm here, I have run into more celebrities and people that I've wanted to meet than like any of my other friends who've been here for like longer than me. So it's like there's something, and it's like you gotta try it. I remember this girl. I was at the bar and she's like, "I'm an actor." I'm like, "How? What are you doing? How did that happen?" And she was like, "I'll tell you. Come get coffee with me, and I'll teach you." So she took me to the drama bookshop, and it was just like amazing because the drama bookshop in New York. I think they had to relocate. I think it was threatened. They had to close down, but I think they're relocating it, thank God, because it's an amazing resource. It's like not just plays, but there's screenplays. It's all kinds of books, all kinds of resources for like acting. And there's just this whole section of like acting instruction books. And I'm like standing there, and she's telling me about all this different stuff. She answered every question that I had. It was very beautiful, very amazing. And she leads me in this bookstore, and I found this book by William Esper. And I'm like reading through it, and it's like basically like almost like you're in this class, and it's teaching you like the Meisner technique, but like his way of sort of teaching the Meisner technique. And I felt like I was in this class, like I never got this. This is why acting was like challenging for me because I never felt like I had any control. Like I would get on stage, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't, but I never felt like I had control. And like this is all the stuff, and I was like, oh, this is missing. And like I'm reading this guy's book, and like he's worked with all these amazing actors that like I look up to and admire, and these great people going to the school, and I'm like. I want to go, but it's like, I can't go to this school. I have fucking middle school credits on my resume. Like, who the hell am I? Like, I haven't really acted since, like, high school. Like, like, I can't do this, but I want to. And, like, there's a website in the book. Like, if you want to, like, go, I went to the website, and I looked, and, like, you can submit to apply. And I was like, But I kept the book, and I remember I had that book for, like, 2 years. And one day I was kind of like, again, like, I've never really committed to it. But I really think I want to. So how about you try? And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least you try it for once in your life.
You'll never know if you don't try.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna apply to this school, and if I get in this school, I will go on this path. And if I don't, whatever. And so I, submit the thing. I get the letter. I get a chance to like go when they want to interview me. So I'm like, oh my god. So I show up. I'm trying to memorize monologues. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you do this? I go to the Esper studio. I sit down and I do this interview with the guy Terry Knickerbocker, who's my teacher, and I'm like, this is who I am. And like we talked about so much stuff, and I'm like waiting. I'm so nervous. Like, when are the auditions? Is this gonna work? Like I'm forgetting the lines of my monologue. Like we need to stop talking. Like please let me do the acting. I need you to judge me. I need to know if I'm good. Please judge me. And so we finished the conversation. He's like, well, that's good. Thank you very much for your time. I'm like, that's it? I didn't even act. Oh no. So I'm like, I don't know. It's like, this sucks. Like, Jesus Christ. Wow. So I'm like kind of like sad or whatever. And then like, I go and I'm talking and the guy at the end is like, we want you to come for the 6-week program. We want you to come for the 6-week program. In the summer program. Are you kidding me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like so excited. I got my journal. I'm so happy as a clam. I'm like down on like 44th Street or 43rd. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm just pumped. And I want to get somewhere. I want to sit down and write my journal out. And I like see this like Starbucks. I'm like, no. Let me go somewhere else. And I end up sitting outside on like some stoop on like 43rd Street, like 9th. I'm sitting like, oh, the day's like the greatest day. Like this is what happened. I'm trying to like write everything down. I can't concentrate because like somebody's like dribbling a basketball and coming out. I'm like, who the hell is? What is going on? And I look down the street, like these 3 guys like walking down the street, right? And like I'm a DiCaprio. I'm like huge DiCaprio. I have like all the books. I'm telling you, like Titanic was like my thing. So all through like high school.
See the Q&A?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm hype as shit, I'm like about my deal. So I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to do my thing, and like I'm like, I know these 2 faces because I know they hang out with Leonardo DiCaprio. This is Kevin Dillon and Lucas Haas. Who's this dude in the middle? What the hell? Oh my god. Oh,
it's Lee.
Oh my god. So what? And this is my face.
It's insane every time.
Because I can't believe it. I'm like, of all the streets. In my life, I'm thinking like, I would love to meet him one day. But I'm thinking it's probably going to be like some premiere. I'm like trying to be waving in like some group of people. Like, hopefully that he sees me or like something. If I ever meet him, that's
You're
what
in
I'm
like Times Square.
I'm just sitting on some random stoop on 43rd and 9th. I'm never down there,
No.
So I'm sitting there. They're coming by. I see them. I know they're talking. I'm like, oh, I want to say something. And they get close and I just eke out this, okay. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, like just, and then like write me off and they like keep on going. I'm like, Jesus, I blew it. And I'm like, well, it was cool. I saw him like, that can't be it. I'm gonna kick myself if that was the only time I didn't really let him know. Like the reason I'm even sitting on this step basically is kind of because I'm inspired by it. Like I got it. So I get up and I'm like walking behind them like at a safe 6 feet. Like I want to approach so bad. But I don't want to freak them out. But I also want to. I'm like, what are we going to say? I don't know. They get to like the crosswalk and the lights red. So like I got a moment and like I go to like, I was like, I can't trust Leo. So I like Kevin, whatever. Kevin, hey, and they all turn around. Listen, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You guys are like, I'm fans of your work. Leo, I have to say like you're one of my biggest fans. Like one of the reasons that pursuing acting. He's like, oh, thank you very much. That's really cool. I was like, oh, I'm feeling gas. I just talked. I looked at him. He looked at me. Talked to me. This is the guy. This is the guy. This is like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and I'm like feeling myself like, oh, this is great. Mind if we take pictures? Like, no, that's cool. I get it. Thank you. I get it. No problem. But thanks. I was like, yeah, have a good day. I'm like, awesome. So I'm like, this is a sign.
Of course. I mean,
I'm standing. I'm like, I want somebody. I walk all the way to 10th Avenue. I'm like, someone, please, anybody. I met him. I want to point. I want to scream and let everybody know, but I also don't want to like cause a scene because they're just trying to like live their life. I'm like, oh my god,
that's literally like meant to be. Right place, right time. Stars aligning. Everything happened, and you just left that meeting.
I just left.
And then 6-week program.
That's what I said. I'm like, okay. So anything that comes up,
I don't think there could be a louder sign.
No, not at all. So I'm like, listen, man, I have no doubts. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go after it. And like, and like, listen, trying to pursue acting in New York is challenging.
Ooh,
and like, I've had like so many jobs, like hustling, and and I was willing to do anything. So it's like, I'm on Craigslist. I'm looking like any place to find jobs that I learned like how to actually look for like work.
Student films, remember those?
I do student film. I did Black Box Theater. I've done improv. I did commercials. I did like the cast director workshops where like meet them, learn about how to like audition for these things.
Yes.
Like some of them are actually really good and really educational. Some of them can be like scammy. But by and large, my experience, I was blessed to like work with cast members who really wanted to help actors be better and whatnot. So New York was great for that. So I'm on the path, I'm doing the thing, I'm doing background work, which was amazing. And then I'm like, well, you know, what do I want to do? And I'm like, I love like these procedural shows. I love these like, you know, like cop-based dramas with like the complex characters and like navigating things like that. Like I really want to do like Law and Order at some point. So it's like, if I'm going to do background work, I might as well do background work as a cop, you know, and I did background work as a cop, and, you know, I was there, and like some people who actually do background work, they actually are in the professions that they're playing, so like there's real EMTs who will get like some extra money.
Yeah, it's like on our show.
Like on our show, yeah. There's firefighters because they have the expertise, they'll bring it to the show, and they can do the work in the background. So there's a guy, you know, he was a former police officer, and like he does pretty much just does background work. He's like, "Gotta get yourself a uniform," because they shoot a lot of police shows here. You gotta get yourself a uniform because they're always gonna need people with cops, and you get a pay bump. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." So I like got my uniform, and he's like, "You also need to join the union. They're gonna merge." So I mean, I've met a lot again. Like I took the steps, and I met a lot of great people, and they gave me some great advice. So I got this uniform, and like now I'm on set in the uniform. I can get pictures in the uniform, which is great. So now when I submit for more work, I can submit for what I want because I look like the part of what I want. So it's that like, you know, just being specific. It's like, exactly. I know I want to play cop type roles. I know I want to be in these kinds of shows. I know if I want to be a series regular on one of these kinds of shows, you know, this is kind of like the pathway. So it's like I did background work, I did featured background work, and you know, I used that picture.
The ladder.
Yeah, just worked my way like up towards a series regular doing like first responder, you know what I mean?
I have to mention this because first of all, happy Pride Month.
Woo!
You are the first series regular on a network TV show in the history of television.
To be a black trans man.
That's right.
On the history of like, and to go from, again, like I'm in school.
In the entire history,
man. I mean,
of the industry.
It's incredible. Incredible. Thank you, man.
That is something.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm like, and like it's crazy because it's been like something I'm working at for such a long time, and like being so diligent. Like, you know, when I was in acting class in the acting school, you know, they in Meisner-based stuff is like, you know, be specific. If you really want something, you have to be specific as possible. So I'm like, I was being specific. I started planting the seed there, and then you have to be like disciplined. So it's like I kept trying to do work in the direction of where I wanted to go, and that sort of kept me on the path. Because again, I had so many jobs, and I was kind of stressing myself out a little bit because too early on, I was trying to like depend on acting for my income, my sense of livelihood, and it's like, well, that's not gonna. You don't make that kind of money at this level, so you're not gonna do that. So keep doing the work and find opportunities to work, but like do other things that support that work.
Yeah.
So instead of just working some soul-sucking job that like ate up my schedule, I would do acting specific or production specific work. I do like after school programs. I worked with.
And that's a good tip for anyone that's trying to start off. Like, do not just. First of all, don't be a martyr, right? And it's like you have to, you know, sustain yourself too. You do have to sustain yourself, and it does not pay well in the beginning.
It does.
No, it does not.
Shout out to my wife for helping through those lean years while I was out. I mean, she helped a lot because I would have to be out rehearsals, you know, late.
She watching
shows. I hope she's watching. Doing all these I'm like doing all of these things and like, you know, making, you know, just enough to like not have food and like things like that and contribute, but like, you know, being that understanding that this is it's weird. It's a weird sort of interest, a weird sort of like path.
And like it lifts the pressure off of like, I need to make it.
Right.
I need to make it.
Yeah.
And then that's how you can, you know, sort of go down a very dark road.
Yeah. And then like you just put too much. You can't work like that. Like we're a creative thing, and if I'm bringing all of my stress about like my life, it chokes the life out of whatever creativity I was going to bring into the room.
Exactly.
So it's like I got other jobs that kind of focus the money thing, and then I like could do the work whenever the opportunity comes. So I can audition, you know, and I could do the student films like where I can create my own stuff over here. You know, I was doing that, but I'm still working towards what I really want. And so one day I had to have like a kind of like come to like Jesus moment where I'm like, I'm frustrated as we tend to get sometimes, and I'm like, I am doing everything in my power to become the series regular on the TV show, and it's not happening. I'm doing everything I can. I was like, am I though? And I realized I wasn't, and there was so much more that I could do because I was waiting to have a job. I was waiting to get booked to do the thing. There's like 90% of the work that I can do now without having a job. I have the time, I have the schedule, I can arrange my life so that I can support it. I could be working on a scene, I could be reading a script, I could be, working on something with my friend, I could be doing the training, I could be doing the research. There's so much work that I could be doing that would contribute to me getting what I want, the networking and all this kind of stuff. So like I just got really specific and focused. And I'm like, what is my main goal? Write it as specific and as true as possible.
Literally
wrote it. And then what was funny, I was tricking myself out of it because like the first time I wrote the goal, I was just journaling, I just want to act. And then it's like, I don't want to act. I want to act in TV, but it's like you can't act. You be featured background work, so you gotta get more specific on what kind of TV. And like I want to book a guest star role, a co-star role. It's like okay, but on what show and what kind of character? Because I'm finding myself either not making the thing happen, or I'm not satisfied. It's not fulfilling. So I had to ask myself like, what do I actually want to do from that inside? Why? And then like once I got super specific, then I could go like, okay, well, how does one do that? So I want to be, and I wrote it. I want to be like on a show like Queen Sugar. I want to work with Ava DuVernay. I want, I was looking for roles to be more visible. I felt like now that I've explored these other areas and I learned the business, I want to, explore things and like put things on screen that I haven't seen that I thought would be good. So like, I want to be more visible as a trans-masculine actor, and I want to do like a good role, or like a good story, and I want to reach a specific audience. So I like wrote it. And I want to get a guest star role like something like Queen Sugar or Walking Dead or Law and Order, SVU, blah blah blah. That's what happened. That's what happened. My first real role was with like Queen Sugar, playing a trans-masculine cop on a black show that was a positive representation of like man, and I wrote that.
I've never heard anybody navigate this industry that way, like with that sort of specificity.
Specificity?
How do you fucking say that word? Specificity.
There it is.
Specificity. Usually, you're just like, I'll take whatever I can get. Like, I'll be lucky to be working. But your attention to detail, and this probably comes back to when you're playing sports. It's like that obsession to detail and working on the tiniest things. Like, no wonder you are where you are.
Yeah.
Like that, I have never heard that before. Like that is incredible. And you literally wrote it down.
I don't read it.
And then slowly just like start checking it out.
Yeah, and it makes it more manageable because there's things that are in our control and there's so much that's not. So it's like I mean there's absolutely
we're this piece of the puzzle,
right?
In this big of a world.
So it's like okay, there's so much that's out of my control, and there's so much that I do that I have no idea whether it worked or not. I can't analyze it. So I like, how do you even feel good about things? And like, when I did it this way, it made it feel like I do have some control because I do, and like even if I don't get feedback from the room, I knew I was working on something specific. So even if I don't necessarily book the part, I did the thing that I was working on that day.
Yeah,
and that feels great.
And you're not relying on that.
No, like I don't know. I mean, you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But as me as an artist, did I make the thing that I wanted to make? Yeah, I did. Great. Check. If I get a job, oh, that's awesome. I got a job. That's great. But it's me. I keep myself.
I wish I knew that when I was coming up. That is such a beautiful tool. And I have so many people ask like, how do you navigate like if you want to become an actor, blah blah blah. Like that's one hell of a way to get super specific. And I'm serious. Like I've never heard that before. Of like, first of all, to even like have that self courage to be like, no, I can do it my way. Which is usually, I mean, it's set up so you don't do it your way. So you're doing like a bunch of shitty jobs and then maybe you land something cool. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, and then like there's things that I took just because like I'll take anything. Yeah. But I knew I was working towards something else, so it was okay. Because some people can get lost in the works. Like when you're working that survival job, it's really easy to get sucked into that world and you forget like what are you doing that for. But having like the goal, the very clear goal, and then knowing that every day I checked off some activity in the direction of that goal. Even if I spent the other like 8 hours somewhere I didn't want to be, I did one thing towards that. And it compounds. It really does add up. It really does.
Man, that is so crazy, Brian. It's like, because I'm fascinated with sports. Like sports are my everything. Like Kobe was my everything of like how he handled basketball. And it's like the way you spent those 2 years just focusing how to throw this thing, right? Like of course that
2
transcended
years
into
working
acting.
on turning my right foot. Like,
Kobe would be proud.
like,
Like, of course that transcended into
Mhm.
your acting career.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because that's like, that is, you are tuning into a piece of your mind that is so meticulous and specific that that is so